Today I want to give you an overview of the new tires that I got for my car here. They are the Continental ExtremeContact DWS 06 Pluses. They are the third version of this tire. The original tire came out in, I think, the mid-2000s. And they're actually an all-season tire, so you're not going to get, the full winter performance, but I will say for what they're probably one of the better all-seasons out there. There's probably 2 or 3 different all-season tires that are, really good that I recommend for kind of winter usage, and these would be one of them. I'm coming from having 2 sets of wheels for this car to kind of slimming down to 1, and these would definitely be my choice if I only had to have 1 set of tires for a car and I experienced pretty much any type of snow climate. This is a 2004 WRX that has the STI BBS wheels, as you can see. They are a 17 by 7.5 wheel, and the tire size that I have on here is a 225/45/17. So far I've had these tires for a couple hundred miles and they've been on the car for about 2 months. I don't actually drive this car a whole lot, but this is generally my winter car. I have a BRZ that typically gets garage kept over winter, so I use this one for all across the winter time here in Western PA, where we get a bunch of different seasons. It can be 90 degrees or higher in the summer, and I still need this car to be able to go places. And it does snow here, so we haven't had a lot of snow this year, but typically we get 40 inches or so and a lot of slush and rain and that type of weather. You can see from the tread here, the tread is it almost looks like a gravel rally tire in a way. It's surely not a pure gravel tire, I can tell you that, but it definitely has a lot of different sipes here and channels to get out the water. You can see these 2 big ones down here, and then this one over here. That's to get the most of the water out, and then you have all these little ones in here to kind of get the water out of the sides and out of the grooves of the tire to give you your grip and get rid of that water. And you can also see here it actually has, for the snow traction, it has a bunch of little ribs or sipes or something like kind of in here, and that kind of gives you a bit more snow traction. So overall, these tires are actually very good for an all season, to be totally honest, in the snow. They're kind of right up there with some snow tires. I wouldn't call them a snow tire by any means, but if you need a tire that kind of does everything and you don't want to swap between different wheels, this is probably going to be the tire for you. One interesting thing that you'll note down here are the D, W, and S, different little logos here. The D stands for dry, the W for wet, and the S for snow. And kind of as these wear away, the S will wear away first, then the W, then the D. When you don't have the S, that's when you probably shouldn't drive these in the snow, or at least as much. The W for wet, and then once you get down to the D, you should probably think about replacing them and getting a new set. Another thing that you'll see is way down here, there are actually different little patterns here on this outside tread and then on the inside tread, and the purpose of these is very interesting. It's very new for this the DWS 06 Plus version. They didn't have this on the older one, they only had this up here, but these are actually to indicate if your alignment is off, if you're wearing on this side or that side, and that can determine if your toe is off or if you have extreme camber or something like that. Usually it's going to be a toe issue if you're seeing any wear there. And they're light enough that actually you can very much see. This one's like really light, and these ones are a little bit deeper in there. But when this light one kind of goes away, you could really see if there's a problem kind of before you have an actual problem and you completely ruin your tires. One of the things that is I felt most notable about the Plus version of this tire versus even the second generation of this tire, just the DWS 06, was that they have a much stiffer sidewall. And it's not in a bad way. It's still super comfortable on the road. It's actually more comfortable than the previous version, but you still get a lot of good feedback in the steering wheel if you're like a performance enthusiast. But if you're not and you're just a general commuter, the good thing about that is your car's not going to be floating around as much on the highway. It's going to feel stable at higher speeds and in corners and things like that. It gives you a direct feel, which is typically what you want to have in a tire. Another aspect about your tires that you might be wondering about is how they actually sound rolling down the road. And I'm happy to report that these ones are, super comfortable in terms of noise. They're not going to make a bunch of noise in your cabin like, truck tires, if you're, know what those are going to sound like, or even winter tires can sound actually pretty loud if you're just driving on the highway. These ones are not loud at all. That was one of the improvements that they did over the second version of this tire. And even back then with the second and even first version, these were not loud tires at all. So they just continue to get better with each version. I've stated before that the purpose of this car is kind of my daily driver, but we typically take this car on a lot of road trips to a lot of state parks for hiking. And we even attend a few different rallies here in Pennsylvania, and we're going to attend one here in Ohio. So it's paramount that these do good in all conditions. It could be raining, it could be muddy, there's definitely going to be gravel roads and everything. So these tires, at least in the past, have gotten us to every destination and back throughout all the highways and all the miles, as well as all of the back roads that we travel on. Another tire that might be on your radar when you're looking at these are the BFGoodrich Comp 2 All Season Pluses. Those are actually the, I believe, second iteration of those tires. And the difference between these ones and those ones it's going to come down to the kind of winter grip in the snow, and also, kind of the noise, vibration, harshness category. The BFGs are going to be stiffer, they're going to be a little bit harder, so they're going to grip in the snow just a little bit less due to their compound. But the big difference between them, I felt, is that the BFGs are not going to absorb bumps as well. That's what you're going to get with this one. It's a little bit more in terms of price with these, but I think it's well worth it to kind of have not such a jarring ride, and for these to absorb bumps and dips a little bit better than those ones do. And you might be wondering, are there any downsides to these tires? So being an all season, they're not going to do everything, and they're not going to do everything perfectly, right? So, if you're taking your car to the track, if you want the most grip, if it's summertime and you really like to go, bomb around on the canyons and stuff like that, these are probably not going to be the tire for you. You're definitely going to need like a more summer oriented tire. But I would have to say, if you need a tire that does everything and you still want to go have fun, on the streets, and you still got to get around to different places in the wet and even the snow, you're going to have to make some compromises, right? So that's where these tires would come to play. Another thing that might come up is their snow performance in relation to having a completely separate set of winter tires. Although these are going to be probably top notch for an all season tire, they're probably not going to outperform some of the better winter tires out there. So if you live in a really wintry climate, if you're up in Canada, if you're up in some of the northern parts of the United States like Maine, New York, Minnesota, maybe even the Midwest up over there, and you get a ton of snow and you really need to be somewhere, you're probably going to want to have a dedicated set of winter tires. These are going to be better for, dustings, and probably up to, 1 to 2 inches pretty well, as long as you're taking it, you're being careful out there. But again, they're still an all season. So, they're very, very good in the snow. I mean, like very good for an all season, but they're still probably not going to be as good as a winter tire. And let's also get something straight about winter tires and just tires in general. This is a WRX and it does have all-wheel drive, so I'm not just saying these tires are great in the winter because I have all-wheel drive. You really need good tires on a car in the wintertime in order to stop, because all-wheel drive isn't going to help you there, or four-wheel drive if you have a truck or something like that. That isn't going to help you. Basically, all types of cars, when you're slowing down, are pretty much going to perform the same in terms of their drivetrain. So all-wheel drive is not going to help you there. You're going to need tires that are good and can handle the situation that you are in, whether or not that is snow, the wet, or the dry. Tire Rack actually did a rather extensive video talking to Continental about these tires and how they differ from the previous version and what they improved and exactly how they improved it. It's a rather long video, so I will put a link down in the description so you can check that out. If you're looking to pick up a set of these, go check out Tire Rack and Discount Tire. Typically they both have sales that come up pretty much every other month on Continental tires, it seems. At least $70 off. So go check out those two websites, and I hope this video was helpful. My overall recommendation would be, if you need a set of tires that kind of get you everywhere and you only have one set, these are definitely going to be it.